What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome into another episode of the Triple Play Fantasy Football Show, a proud member of Fantasy Points and the Fantasy Points Media Group. Just a reminder, if you go to fantasypoints.com, you'll get to see a bunch of great things going on over there. Their initial run of season projections are live. They also have just a ton of great tools for DFS. They have great live streams. There's a great one coming out tomorrow that you need to make sure to check out. They're always streamed on the Fantasy Points Twitter page and their YouTube channel. And honestly, they are just the goats of the GOAT. They are, like I mentioned last week, they're the cheat code if you're playing Grand Theft Auto that helps you win the game. Like that's what we do here with Fantasy Points Media Group. If you use code TriplePlay22, you'll get 10% off your subscription over at Fantasy Points. So make sure you do that. Another
what
thing.
What was that code again, David? I couldn't hear it. Say it again.
I think did you do this to me last week too?
No, I did it before you even did the quote.
That's what it was. Yes, it's Triple Play 22. That beautiful voice you heard, is Johnny Foosball. We got Brad Stradamus. We got Doc in the house. Doc, did you have a good birthday?
I did, man. You were there for a part of it.
Yeah, you were being a drunk.
That kind of sounded like a shot.
No, nothing was
a part of it.
Nothing was as bad as my actual birthday. What you were there for was okay.
What did I miss on your actual birthday?
Well, you weren't there, but apparently I have a love for Papa John's at 2 a.m.
Ah, that's right. That means he doesn't remember what happened.
Sounds like somebody had to tell you that.
Takeout pizza.
Did you know that they get commission per pizza sold?
Who gets
the franchise owner, not the cashier.
I know. Well, I tried telling them that they did.
Buddy Sports Wikipedia checking in. Always enjoy when he hangs out with us for our football and baseball podcast here. Yeah, Doc, you're another year older. You're almost 30.
Yeah, man. How does it feel being 30? Tell me.
Do you feel like your best days are behind you in terms of your athleticism and your
David, I would never believe that from you. You ask every guest if they think you can beat them in a 40-yard dash or something. I don't think you think your best days are behind you.
I think I've been asked that since I turned 30, though. I think that was my 29 years. I would ask them that. But you guys know how we do here. We'll break down a bunch of great stuff. But before we get started into that, we have a giveaway that we're doing. The TPF family is happy to be giving away another spot in the Scott Fish Bowl this year. And there's no way I'd want to give this spot away more than replicating what the founder of Scott Fish Bowl and one of the most generous people I've met on Twitter, and Scott Fish preaches. He does tweet it too, of course, but charity is what he's all about. And I think something that I wanted to do in the sense of the ASPCA is a charity that means the most to me. So animals are a big part of my life. For those that know me, Zeke is like a son that I don't have born yet. And what they do is they provide effective means for prevention of cruelty to animals throughout the United States. We're going to link in the description a link to the ASPCA. So how can you win a spot in Scott Fish Bowl? Donations of $10 increments count as one entry. So if you do $20, you get 2 entries. $30 gets you 3 entries, etc. And we'll do a random drawing, or we could do the 100-yard dash. I feel like that's what we do around here.
I love the 100-yard dash.
We could do the 100-yard dash with all the people that apply next week, and then we'll crown a winner. I'll DM Scott Fish, the winner's Twitter handle, and they'll get a spot in Scott Fish Bowl. So really cool thing to do for charity, help some animals that are going through a tough time right now and get in the Scott Fish Bowl. So good luck. Thank you for donating. If you have any questions, you can DM the account at Triple Fantasy, which Doc handles all that stuff over there. All right. So you guys pumped to get into our NFC South preview. This is a pretty cool division.
Best division in football.
Johnny, our division. Come on. AFC West. That's definitely but yeah, NFC South is definitely interesting to say the least. So as we always do here, we're going to start off with just notable rookies that we should watch for on the offensive side of the ball. Doc, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Saints rookies potentially we should be watching?
I mean, the only one they drafted that's going to be a skill position is Chris Olave. And they traded from the 16th to the 11th to get him. 6-foot receiver from Ohio State. And I think he fluctuated good and bad years at Ohio State. So sophomore year, 49 for 849, 12 touchdowns. A little bit of a down year junior season, but senior season, 65 for 936 and 13 touchdowns. And it might just be a hunch, But the Saints do well with Ohio State players. Michael Thomas, Marshawn Lattimore. I think, and we're going to talk about this more with, okay, those are 2 all-pros from the same college.
Okay. I didn't know 2 was the sample. Okay.
I mean, Nick Vannett, that's a 3rd one. And he's been serviceable.
Nick Vannett, that's a strong last name from him.
But I think, and we're going to dive into it later, I think them drafting Olave means that Michael Thomas might not be what we think he's going to be. I'll preview that a little bit, but I think Olave is going to have a starting role right away. He's projected as a starting wide receiver right now on the depth chart ahead of Callaway and Traquan Smith. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from him.
Yeah, Chris Olave, like you mentioned, he's a 6'1", 186-pound receiver. He'll basically, I think, play a lot of different spots on the field for them. A good route runner, plays inside or outside, good footwork to get open at the next level here. And I think he could be somebody that, Brandon Cooks kind of, crept up on us his rookie year, right? Like we were talking about Odell Beckham and a couple other guys, and I think Mike Evans was in that draft class, if I'm not mistaken, too. But like Brandon Cooks kind of went under the radar and ended up being one of the best in that class. And I feel like Chris Olave is kind of in that same boat where we're talking about Drake London and Garrett Wilson and Treylon Burks, and Chris Olave is kind of getting a little disrespected there. So he could be someone that, flies under the radar and makes a big impact in his first year with New Orleans.
The last time the Saints took a wide receiver in the first round was Brandon Cooks. So history repeats itself.
All right.
Yeah, he's been on every team.
Yeah, he really has. But the funny thing is he doesn't want to get traded from the Texans of all teams right now. Brad, you had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they obviously drafted a few players on their team in this past NFL draft. Who are some players that caught your eye?
Yeah, so I guess the only fantasy relevant one is probably going to be Rashaad White. He was drafted in the 3rd round this year at Arizona State. FYI, for anyone watching, Dave actually interviewed Rashaad. You can check that out on the Triple Play Fantasy YouTube channel. In terms of his fantasy prospects, he runs a 4.5 40. He's got great burst. He was in the 98th percentile for target share in college. But in the pros, I look at Ronald Jones as the comp, and, he wasn't able to do much behind Lenny Fournette besides, give him a few spells and he would start when he was hurt. So I expect that same role for White. He's a great handcuff if you draft Lenny, but I wouldn't be interested outside of that. There's just not going to be touches for him. And then they also drafted Cade Otton as a backup tight end. And I don't really know what to make of their tight end situation because I don't know if Gronk's coming back to play yet. If he is, he's a 3rd string tight end. And if he's not, it's looking like Cade Otton will be the backup tight end and give Cameron Brate a few spells. But other than that, I think Rashaad White is a handcuff option.
Rashaad White might be the best lottery ticket this year, just with the fact with the usage that Fournette gets, if he can step into even somewhat 3/4 of the role if Fournette were to go down. I mean, Rashaad White is one of my favorite running back prospects. Obviously, getting to talk to him was really cool, but 6'2", 210 pounds. He's a freak of an athlete. 1,400 yards, 16 touchdowns from scrimmage in 2021. Caught 43 passes last year, too, so he can show he's a threat in the receiving game. And, I mean, if you look at his tape, his cutback ability and his vision are just exceptional. So I think if he gets a chance with Tampa Bay, that's going to be huge. Obviously, I don't expect him to get more than a handful of touches there with Leonard Fournette healthy. But, Brad, he would be a monster if he gets the opportunity. So somebody like you said. Go ahead.
No, yeah, that's the name of the game. It's opportunity. Like if he does get the opportunity, he would be a monster. But I mean, you got to remember Gio Bernard is still there, so it's not like he's just going to lose, out on 3rd down role just because they drafted a talented running back. Like it's the guys that are already there, the guys that know the offenses that are going to get those looks, and the guys that Tom Brady already trusts. So I think in order for Rashaad White to get that chance, like you said, Lenny Fournette would have to go down. And I don't know. He's been pretty durable recently.
What's your estimation on is Chris Godwin healthy? Would you expect he starts week 1 for the Bucs, Brad?
I don't think he'll start week 1 because I don't think he'll have to. I think they have enough depth at the wide receiver position. We're going to talk about that a little later, but I actually have him at my wide receiver. Where do I have him? Wide receiver 20.
The control F is a very valuable tool.
Yes, wide receiver 21, control F. So I've got Godwin at my 21. I think he's going to be, healthy for most of the season. Maybe they won't rush him back because they don't need to. But you pretty much know what you're going to get with Tom Brady. And Godwin's going to get plenty of targets, and he's a proven top flight receiver in this league.
Bro, were you scrolling from like 29 to get to 21? Because it wouldn't have taken that long to scroll from 20 to 21.
No, I had notes, and I had it already written down, so I didn't even look.
Johnny, you had the Panthers, who are very much the other side of exciting, comparing them to the Bucs. Did they take any relevant rookies that we should talk about for this year's draft?
No, they have a quarterback, but he's going to be behind Darnold for X amount of games, and that doesn't really bode well for sort of fantasy relevance if you're not an automatic start over Sam Darnold. So no, they do not have any fantasy relevant rookies. They also was the only offensive player, not a lineman, that they drafted. So it's not like they drafted like 5 fantasy relevant wide receivers or something.
And for those that might not be sure, it's Matt Corral, aka Golden Corral, who is the backup for the Panthers, and they might bring in, I've heard, Jimmy Garoppolo or Baker Mayfield.
Please.
Exactly.
So, I mean, yeah, I think that pretty much covers their rookies. Atlanta actually has 3 rookie. Oh, go ahead, Brad.
Eric, who would you want in a Jimmy Garoppolo trade from Carolina?
I would take a third round. I would take a third round pick.
You'd be lucky to get a third round pick right now.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna say like 2 firsts and be unreasonable. If they took him and got a third, like Trey Lance doesn't have to look over his shoulder the entire season. That's fair.
I'll bet you get a 4th and a 6th.
I mean, that's just John Lynch not playing his cards right.
No, not for a starter. Jimmy G took him to the Super Bowl.
There's no more.
No. He threw the ball 8 times in an NFC Championship game. That's not taking us to a Super Bowl. Okay.
He loves Jimmy Garoppolo. Loves him.
If he's not hot, we're not even having this conversation.
Why does it always come back to people's looks with you?
It's true.
He's a handsome boy.
He is very handsome.
If he looked like Mac Jones, he's cut.
I don't know if you heard that Mac Jones is in the best shape of his life.
Well, I hope he's in the best shape of his life. He's a professional athlete.
He's chiseled, changed his diet.
I saw.
He did have that dad bod.
I was scrolling ESPN one day, and there was like cornhole championships, and
nice.
Mac Jones and Devonta Smith were against other pros. They were with a pro against another pro. It was weird, but Mac Jones.
I think my friend sent me a video. The situation was also in a cornhole championship on ESPN.
They're doing some weird stuff in the cornhole leagues, man.
That's like very close to Ocho territory.
I love it.
Really
I have to check this out when we're done. For the Falcons, rookies, Justin Schaefer was a guard from Georgia, and John Fitzpatrick, a tight end from Georgia, were in the 6th and 7th round. Offensive rookies, technically, but they drafted 3 before those guys that are going to impact this season. Drake London, already the number 2 option, I think, in the passing game behind Kyle Pitts when he steps on the field week 1.
Brian Edwards.
Oh, can't sleep on him.
I'm kidding.
But I think he'll already get over 100 targets and probably a 20% target share his rookie season. Just like Kyle Pitts, he's a 6'4" red zone target that should excel in that part of the field. 88 catches for 1,084 yards and 7 touchdowns in just 8 games last year at USC. So obviously, like, you've seen the potential from him. Best 50-50 ball catcher, I think, is this entire draft. And he has a great release off the line of scrimmage and uses his hands well. So I think he's going to get featured a lot for this Falcons team. He'll be somebody that I would be shocked if he's anything worse than a wide receiver 2 this year, just with how many targets he's going to get. Desmond Ridder, some people had him as the best quarterback in this draft, 6'4", 215. All the tools there. I think the Falcons felt more comfortable with his accuracy over Malik Willis. That's why he was drafted ahead of him. He's got great anticipatory throws, able to read through progressions. He had 572 or more rushing yards in 3 of his 4 seasons, so he can actually use his legs more than I think people realize. And for the Falcons, I mean, whatever we say about Marcus Mariota, they're going to want to see what they have in Desmond Ridder. And if he's not good, you know what they'll do? Then used a 3rd round pick on him. They'll take a 1st round quarterback next year. And I think they're going to want to give him a chance to audition to be their quarterback. So
what if he's good though? What if Mariota's good?
He will be.
he has to
Mark
be
my
like a
words.
Pro Bowler. He has to literally be like a Pro Bowler for me to.
It's not that hard to make the Pro Bowl.
I mean, that's true. But I mean, I guess I will mention this, like with Mariota, he actually has only thrown more than 20 touchdown passes once in his career and has an under 63% completion percentage.
But he's thrown one to himself in the playoffs against the Chiefs.
Oh my God, that thing!
I love that him and Jameis are in the same division again.
Yeah, the 1 and 2 pick from that year. The last one, Tyler Algier, bigger back, 5'10", 224 pounds, a converted linebacker. So the Javonte Williams mold of someone who runs extremely hard, tough, finishes their runs, yards after contact for days, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, 4.4 speed. I mean, he could be the lead back for this team by the end of the first month of the season. Cordero Patterson, I think they're going to shift more back to a wide receiver role rather than just a straight running back. So he could be somebody you get after like pick 100 plus in your fantasy drafts, and he's the lead back for this team.
No. In typical Falcons fashion, they're going to bring in an old running back on a 1-year deal.
There's limited ones out there right now.
I think Mike Davis is still floating around.
Yeah, he's with the Ravens.
No, they'll bring in Latavius Murray.
I mean,
Lamar Miller.
Lamar Miller is still floating around.
Alfred Morris.
Oh my God! Yeah, I mean, wouldn't shock.
Talk about Alfred Morris is one of those guys I really thought was going to be somebody.
He was for a few years.
He was with Washington, and then like they just kind of let him go. Like he took a backup job with the Cowboys.
That's the name of the running back position these days.
Yeah, man.
It's just the game.
Yeah. All right, Doc. Let us talk about the Saints and just their skill players in general and what you expect from them this year.
Yeah, so with Jameis, we assume he's going to start week 1 coming off a torn ACL. And I really think this year we're going to see if this is it for Jameis. Like, we know his upside of 30 touchdowns. We also know his capability of 30 interceptions. But the Saints are giving him pass catchers. Jarvis Landry, Michael Thomas, if he plays, Chris Olave, Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway, post-hype Adam Troutman. And I think they know that Alvin Kamara is going to be suspended. So I think that they want the ball in Jameis's hands, and they want to give him as many options as possible to give him the chance to succeed.
I forgot about that Kamara's legal issue.
So I am completely fading Alvin Kamara this year because I assume he's still going to go in the first 2 rounds. Well, also this. He had a career low 43 receptions last year. Jameis doesn't throw to the running backs, and they have Taysom Hill listed as second-string tight end. He's not even listed as a quarterback. He has 1,285 career touches, which is more than David Johnson, and he's played 2 years less than David Johnson. We're saying he's washed. 6 inactive career touches for running backs that are on a team, which is behind Zeke, Melvin Gordon, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, who's also on the team, and Giovanni Bernard. And a lot of his values tied to touchdowns. He's had double digits every year, or double-digit touchdowns every year in the league. 13, 17, 10, 15, 15. That's very, very tough to repeat, especially with a new head coach, a new scheme. I think the name is what's going to keep him up there, but especially with a suspension, I'm just fading him because even with that, I think people will take him in the first 2 rounds. Michael Thomas, I'm worried about his health too. And if he even plays with the Saints, like the fact that there are still hurdles to recover from, a high ankle sprain with the deltoid part.
There's Jakob hurdles.
There's Jakob.
Sorry,
that's good.
This isn't the basketball pod.
No.
David, we don't get David on the casual on the basketball pod, but like if you just looked at the injury, it's nasty. Like it physically looks like it hurts, and I know like all of the injuries do, but the only video that's come out right now is him just running straight. But we know Michael Thomas's game is slants, and doing that cutting, especially coming from a high ankle sprain that you had to get surgery on. Like, we don't know what Michael Thomas we're going to get and if he even wants to play for the Saints. And Brad, I know you did a video on him, which is why I feel bad.
Appreciate the plug.
All of the players that you've done videos on, I'm going to do videos of why I wouldn't draft them.
Both sides of the controversy.
I would love that. We should do it. We could have another debate pod.
We're going to, there's going to be a video coming out of why I'm fading Saquon as you have him as your most undervalued running back. But I like the value for Jarvis Landry just to end the pass catchers.
Also, Eric, I saw that like Tyrann Mathieu is trying to recruit OBJ to come there too.
I mean,
that's too many receivers.
Yeah, it's way too many receivers past.
Drew Brees could be there too.
Yeah,
that could be. Just
I don't. That would be such a bad decision.
It would be.
But the last one, Jarvis Landry, I like him for a bounce back this year. Last year, only played 12 games, 87 targets, 52 receptions. His lowest for a 16-game season, 112 targets, 81 receptions, 758 yards. His touchdown upside is going to be limited, but especially if the Saints have to come from behind with a lot of games, I like Jarvis Landry at the value that you're getting him for.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have a better receiving core in general than they did last season. And maybe they can be even more competitive than they were last season because they were one of the most boring teams to watch, honestly, if I'm being honest.
Honestly, if you're being honest, I agree.
It's because I'm trying to move it's because I'm trying to move my camera so my wife isn't in the shot and I'm distracted.
Everybody go to the video and go 21:30 in.
Now I've got like bad lighting, but
sorry, you still look good.
That's all good. Thank you, Brad. Why don't you tell us about the Buccaneers and their wealth of skill players that we draft for fantasy?
Yeah, it's pretty much the usual suspects. Tom Brady, obviously. I don't know when we'll see that fall off. Maybe we won't ever. He'll probably retire before he ever falls off. I have my QB7.
He already did.
Yeah, exactly. But he knew he was going to be good, so he came back. But I have him as my QB7 this year, and maybe that's too low considering he was the QB3 last year. He's going to have Leftwich running that offense without Arians interfering. So now that means, maybe they're going to throw more. Maybe it means they're going to throw less. I don't really know what to expect with this new situation they have there. It's going to be hard to gauge before the season starts, but you can at least count on him being your starting QB and know that he won't let you down week to week. We talked about Lenny Fournette. I got him as my RB11. Now that Rojo is a timeshare isn't a threat anymore, I might be lowballing him at 11 even. He finished 8 last year, and he's got more upside this year. The Rashaad White skill set is screaming that he's going to be the third down back, splitting that with Gio Bernard. But the Bucs offense is so solid, they're going to have plenty of goal line and red zone touches for Fournette. He had 10 last year. So those high-value touches can win you a league, and you can safely have Fournette as your RB1 and draft him in late first, second round area. At the wide receivers place, I have Mike Evans as wide receiver 6. He's Brady's number 1 target. He's a red zone beast. You know what to expect from him. I've got Godwin at my 21. What's that from Sports Wikipedia? Buccaneers will finish with 11 or 12 wins. I think that sounds about right.
I agree with that too.
I'm only going to maybe agree with that because the division is weak. I think there is some regression due this year.
Just take the over on
where do you see the regression, though?
Chris Godwin probably won't start out the season healthy. I think Fournette was good being a pace of change, but he's had some soft tissue injuries.
Yeah,
in the past with hamstring.
I think you always got to bet Brady finishing.
They also brought in Russell Gage, who's currently consensus wide receiver 50. I'm not too high on him, but between Gage and Tyler Johnson, I think you can kind of make up what Godwin brings in the aggregate. So I'm not too worried about Godwin's injury in terms of whether or not the Bucs aren't going to be the same team, but in terms of fantasy, I can definitely see.
What about has Gronk said he's coming back or not?
He hasn't yet. I actually have Gronk as my T14, and that's just like a hedge ranking. Like if he's going to play, he's going to be one of the top tight ends in the game, and if he isn't going to play, he's obviously not ranked. So I don't know.
We'll know he's coming back when he does some sort of WrestleMania appearance. That's when we'll know he's coming back.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did the thing where he comes back in the middle of the season and uses weeks 8 through 12 as a preseason, and then kind of ramps up for the end of the season and then into the playoffs. Because at this point, he knows all the routes. Him and Tom Brady have the chemistry. They just need him as a threat. Need his body there at the end.
Listen to the beginning of their schedule though. At Dallas, at New Orleans, where they never do well. Packers, Chiefs, Falcons, which is probably
a lot of shootout games.
At Steelers. That's a tough first 6 weeks.
It is.
It's better to have them at the beginning than the end of the season.
I could see them going 2-4 to start.
I could too, but even then, I wouldn't be worried about the Bucs.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Johnny, why don't you? The Panthers again. We're going from wealth to
An
poor here.
embarrassment of riches, or maybe just an embarrassment. But I mean, Christian McCaffrey is who he is. I probably won't pick him just because of the injury history, but you can't fault him picking anywhere that's not the first pick.
Where would
He's going
you,
to be a
Johnny?
top
Sorry to
running back
interrupt
when
you.
healthy.
Where would you pick McCaffrey if
I
he's
mean,
healthy?
logically, he's top 5, but emotionally, it's just so hard to get over the hump of just zero production for such a long period of the past couple seasons.
So if you had the 6th pick and he was there, would you take him?
I mean, here I say I won't, but if it happened in real life, I probably would. He fell to me.
He's just taking Chuba Hubbard in the 4th round.
Yeah, exactly. But you have at least a very reasonable handcuff where the drop off is going to be large, but that's just because of McCaffrey's ceiling. But he's still a good running back
It's so
as a
interesting.
handcuff.
It's so interesting to me that I had like Michael Thomas as returning to like wide receiver 10 this year, something in that range, and people are like, he hasn't played in 2 years. You can't put him that high. But everybody has CMC pretty high up, and he also hasn't played in 2 years.
Michael Thomas isn't a lunch pail guy like everybody thinks McCaffrey is.
That's what I'm thinking, man. It's kind of weird. Nobody makes that same comment for CMC.
I think the difference is with McCaffrey, like he's getting guaranteed touches out of the backfield. It's not like people will scheme against him and say, "Oh, we'll double cover. We'll have our best corner." Like he's gonna get touches. Like even if a team,
I know with the Panthers receivers, I would stick my best corner on McCaffrey.
Exactly.
That's disrespect to DJ Moore.
Michael Thomas is a possession receiver, though.
Are the Rams the only NFC? The Buccaneers, Rams, Packers are those 2 teams better than the Buccaneers?
I'd go Eagles.
Oh, I think the Eagles are going to be really good.
I like the Eagles as well.
Sports Wikipedia, are you a Bucks fan? I feel like there's a lot of Bucks love today.
I don't know that I think the Eagles are better than the Bucks, but I think they're up there.
And they get like six free wins.
I think it just points out how weak the NFC is and how stacked the AFC is.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. Besides McCaffrey, was there any other players? DJ Moore, I guess.
Yeah, with DJ Moore, he's kind of quarterback proof, but he's
lock him in
severely
for 4
limited.
touchdowns.
No, I was going to severely limited of not getting any touchdowns, and every year, people love to say, "Oh, but it'll his luck will change," but it hasn't changed. So sometimes an outlier is just an outlier, and there's no reason to assume that they'll come back to the pack. Robbie Anderson and Terrence Marshall are pretty much fringe roster picks if you need somebody for a fill-in. Maybe you really believe in Terrence Marshall, but a lot of people really believed in him last year, and he had a few zero catch games, quite a few. And their tight end, I wouldn't even pick him for an obscure touchdown pick of the week.
That's saying something.
I picked him a lot last time, and it helped.
Yeah, you were wrong 16 out of 17 weeks.
You're not a Tommy Tremble fan?
No. I mean, I'm sure he'll get 1 touchdown or something, but that's what you don't want to bank on. Oh, his 1 touchdown is this week, his 1 touchdown of the year.
We Sports Wikipedia said his team is the Colts. So when we do our AFC South preview, we might need you to back up some Colts stats for us here and give us the ins and outs of everything that we might leave out. So that's good to know, Sports Wikipedia. Thanks for letting us know. Last team, Atlanta, they're skill players. If you're not a fan of looking at things that are not pretty, then I'd look away because this is an ugly roster. We talked about Marcus Mariota. He's mobile, so he's got a chance to produce technically as a QB2 in a super flex league. But this is his first time since 2019 actually starting. So who knows what's there. Talked about 20 or more touchdowns thrown once in his career. Cordero Patterson, this is interesting. So he was RB9 in PPR on the season up until week 13. Or I'm sorry, he finished RB9 on the season in PPR for the whole season. But from week 13 on, he was RB34, which that's the last 6 weeks of the season. I think he's going to be overdrafted where he is based on his production. And you look as a whole and don't see the complete falling off here. I got to ask you guys, though. I have Underdog up right now. And I'm looking at ADPs here. And he has, if I'm not mistaken, I have to refresh it because I have to get, here we go. So tell me who you'd rather have between Cordero Patterson or Sky Moore.
Ooh,
Sky Moore.
Scott Moore.
Cordell Patterson.
Ooh, okay. These are players that are within like 5 to 10 picks, according to Underdog ADP. Would you rather have Brandon Ayuk or Cordero Patterson?
Ayuk.
Hunter Renfrow or Cordero Patterson?
Renfro.
Cordero.
Selfishly, Hunter Renfrow.
Last one. Tyler Lockett or Cordero Patterson?
Patterson.
Patterson, especially with that QB situation.
David, let me ask you, where are you ranking Kyle Pitts this year? Because I feel like he's getting hyped up way too much, not talent-wise, but just situation-wise.
Well, he was the tight end 6 in fantasy points per game last year. He was actually only like 4 points off the top 5, and that was despite only scoring 1 touchdown.
He did score 1 touchdown.
Everyone ahead of him at least 5. So, and he was only one of 3 tight ends last year to record over 1,000 receiving yards. 102 targets, over 20% target share in his rookie season. Both led the team along with 16 red zone targets. He's obviously, I think, the tight end 1 in Dynasty. Are we all agreeing with
Sold.
that?
Yeah.
But in redraft, I don't think I can rank him lower than 3 behind Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce, personally. Do you guys have him lower than that?
Not anymore.
I mean, are you having Kittle lower than him?
Do I have who?
Are you having Kittle lower than him?
Yes, I think actually might have Kittle like number 6. I put
He's-
Waller ahead of him, and I might put
Thanks, Davey.
Of course. There's somebody else too. I think especially if Trey Lance is there, they might run
Hawkinson.
more, and he blocks a lot
I
more.
have Kyle Pitts at TE4.
Okay, so you have a 4. I have him at 3. Doc, where do you have him?
I haven't finished my rankings. I don't want to be hot takey, but like I feel like he's going to be the focal point of defenses. Like, what are they? They're going to let
But
Drake London.
He was
and
that
Almighty-
last year too.
Yeah, more so last year. They didn't have Drake London last year.
Exactly.
Well, they had Calvin Ridley for a couple games, but they also had consistency. at the quarterback.
Yeah, but
Oh,
what
yeah.
about the rest
Yeah,
of the
for
season?
a couple games. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's different that than having a rookie that's like him.
Drake
and
London's going to
Zach
come
Martinez.
there.
They also had Russell Gage last year.
Drake London's going to be a target beast, and he's huge. Like he's.
I also liked the quarterback situation.
They should
better
move
last
him to
year.
tight end too. Just run tight end sets with Drake London.
I don't
and-
hate that,
and
man. I
Kyle
love
Pitts.
putting big old like wide receiver bodies at tight end.
Auden Tate is like 6'5" too. They have him there.
I just think the Falcons are going to be the type of team where they know they can't beat you in a shootout, so they're going to run the ball, or Mariota might do an RPO or some short throws. I just don't see them having a high scoring upside offense.
All right, so you think you'll have him outside the top 5?
No, because talent-wise, he's obviously-
I love how he does.
No,
He
no,
does
no,
all
but
this
I think-
arguing, and he's
He's
talking it out,
one
though. He's
spot
talking
off
it out.
Brad's.
I think there's a difference between having someone in a tight end ranking because of the shallowness of the position and then saying, I'm going to take him super high because I think he's going to be on a points per game basis better than other
First
people.
overall.
Yeah, we're not arguing like he's a first round pick or
No, but I've just seen him get hyped up, and people have given a crazy amount to acquire him this offseason.
To Eric's
don't
point, I have seen people like talk about maybe second round and third round. Like people love Kyle Pitts.
I mean, I don't think that's the majority though. I think most people have him in their top 5.
Yeah.
And in redraft, like I haven't seen anybody ranking him lower than 5.
Outside of tight end premium, though, I don't think you could spend a first 2 or 3 round pick on him.
No, but I would spend like a 5th round pick on him.
That's fair. I'll agree on that.
But again, that could still be the tight end 3, right? Like Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce.
I guarantee you in any 12-team league, he doesn't make it to the 5th round.
Well, Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce will probably be 2 second round picks, I'm sure. So how far much down is there a drop after those 2 guys? That's something I guess.
So I've got Kelce 1, Andrews 2, then I've got Kittle, then Pitts. I think it wouldn't be crazy to see like Waller sneak in there. I wouldn't be crazy to see.
I was waiting to hear his name, Brad. You really like.
Yeah.
You're selling my guy.
I might even take. No, I think after that it's pits or bust kind of, or you're just waiting to take a tight end later.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that's there.
Dallas Goedert.
Even someone like a David Njoku, who's going to be the only tight end in town for Cleveland with Deshaun Watson throwing the ball. You know, I don't know how many games at this point, but he could be like what Dalton Schultz was last year, where Dalton Schultz finishes the tight end 3, kind of came out of nowhere. You know, Dallas Goedert with a better Eagles
now that
offense.
Ertz is gone.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different possibilities.
But even Zach Ertz in Arizona is like sneaky interesting.
He was the tight end 5 last year. So
exactly.
And then I'll just really quick, their wide receivers, you're not really drafting any, I think, other than like late round dart throws, maybe besides Olamide Zaccheaus. You got Brian Edwards, Auden Tate, Geronimo Allison is on this roster.
Geronimo.
So yeah, don't really think you're taking using high draft capital on these guys. There, maybe you take a late round flyer on Brian Edwards, or maybe you take Zaccheaus towards the end of your draft. But Drake London, Kyle Pitts, they're the guys you want on this team. So guys, any last minute thoughts or things we got to add here? Sports Wikipedia said he's got the Eagles winning like 10 or 11 games. So behind them and taking the NFC East, I think I'm with you on that.
Sports Wikipedia, you need to check out our YouTube channel. I got a Miles Sanders video waiting for you if you're an Eagles fan.
Yeah, I know he's a Colts fan, but he's advocating for the Eagles there. But if you're not in our Discord, anybody that's watching the video, whether it's now or later on, make sure you hop in the Discord. The link to our Discord is in the live chat comments, so you can check that out. Also, check out everything going on the YouTube channel. Brad just dropped a Miles Sanders video, as he just talked about. Doc is going to drop a controversial take to that Miles Sanders video with his own Miles Sanders.
No, I'm fair on Miles Sanders. Saquon, though, I'm going to have to poo-poo on Saquon.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of other great content. Another power hour from Johnny coming along the way here. The first one about to cross 200 views. So if you enjoy checking those out, they'll be out there as well. And of course, there's tons of baseball and basketball content with the football content here. So check all that stuff out.
Congrats to our boy James.
Yes, congrats to Coach Lewis on his birth of his little baby, Coach Lewis. It's a girl, right? Or the boy?
I think so. I think he named her LeBron.
That's it. That's it. Shout out to the coach, and shout out to everybody at Triple Play that make this train go chugging along the tracks here. Make sure if you listen to the podcast, you go ahead and subscribe and give us a rating and review there, and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not already. Until the next one, guys, we're going to make like a bread truck and we're going to haul these buns. Talk to you guys next one.